Hello and welcome back, everyone. It's time for week 10 of our freshman English course. This is Professor Gray with you, and it's good to see you all again. And congratulations, we're all finished with the midterm exam. As in general, the scores were good. Most of you did very well, some of you did well. But I'm pretty happy to see the progress in general from the students. Keep up the good work. I'll drink my coffee while I lecture you today. Let's quickly go over it. Now, I'm just going to give you the answers quickly. If there's any questions, email me. Okay, if you don't know why something's wrong or right or this or that, any question, just email me and I'll answer it. The test was out of 42 points. Okay, filling in the blanks. Number one, just check. Look at your answers, listen to me, and you can see, now if you don't know where you got a wrong answer, this is where you find out. Look at your answers and listen to me tell you, and then check how many you got wrong. And if there's a problem, you can email me. Number one, trouble. Number two, positive. Number three, all at once. Number four, patient. Number five, gradually. Number six, in other words. Some of you said perhaps, no. Gradually and a little at a time are the same. When you connect the same things, you use in other words, not perhaps. Perhaps means it could be different. Okay, number six, in other words. Number seven, risks. Number eight, journal. Number nine, confidence. And number 10 is perhaps. Okay, suggestion. Maybe you'd like this. Perhaps you'd like this. Number 11 is habits. Number 12, parents. Number 13, develop. Number 14, advise. Number 15, fruit. Number 16, healthy. Number 17, effects. Number 18, instance. Number 19, prevent. And number 20 is hand, on the other hand. 1 point each 10 points. So 20 points for page 1. Story questions, each was 2 points. Number one, what does it mean to be out of your comfort zone? Okay, I wanted you to say something, for 2 points, I wanted you to say, challenging yourself by doing something new, by going to a new place, a new challenge, getting away from your regular situation, getting away from your usual or comfortable place. Okay, if you just said like something new, I gave you 1 point. For 2 points, I wanted the idea of a new and challenging place. A lot of you got 1 point, some of you got 2 points here. Number two, what is a volunteer? Okay, this was important. Someone who helps people in need, 1 point, doesn't receive money, 2 points. If you only said one, you got 1 point. If you say work without pay, 1 point. Do something, receive no money, 1 point. Okay, you don't do something. It's not just something. It's helping people in need. You know, you could have said helping animals, helping the environment. Okay, but there had to be this idea of people in need or animals in need plus not getting paid. If you just said helping people, 1 point. Okay, again, for 2 points, you needed both key points. Help people in need, don't get paid. Grammar. Number one, last year Mary developed. Number 24, her development. Developed, development. Number two, John is in agreement. In agreement. You are in agreement now. However, he doesn't agree that you can't say however he disagrees, that is, you disagree with someone, but he doesn't agree that. Okay, he doesn't agree that it is the most important thing. You don't say he disagrees that it is the most. He disagrees with people who say, or disagrees with the idea that it is the most important. You must, for number two, or number 26, it must say doesn't agree. Number three, number 27, she located or had located, must be past tense, not present tense. Located or had located. Number 28, locations. Okay, 3 more good locations, plural. Must have an S, no S, it's wrong. Number 29 and 30, didn't encourage. My teachers didn't encourage me, not discouraged me. They don't discourage students, they just don't encourage students. Didn't encourage me very much. And number 30, encouragement, no S. If you said encouragements, it's wrong, -1. Didn't encourage, encouragement. I mentioned that in a lecture video. 31, 32, again for 2 points, perfect example. Lead by example, be a good role model, doing what you say, giving an example for others to follow, something like that for 2 points. Number 31, physical inactivity, not getting any physical exercise. If somebody said, don't move your body, it doesn't mean that. Everybody moves their body. You have to move your body. But not getting any physical exercise for 2 points. Anything close to that, I gave you 1 point. For these 2-point questions, almost everybody got at least 1 point, right? But for 2 points, I wanted exactly a certain answer. Part 5, reading comprehension. Number 1, the main idea, C. Several kinds of organizations to help us learn English more cheaply. C. Number 2, also C. More than 4. Number 3 is B, at least 5,001, and you need to buy your own coffee and beer. Number 4, D. Number 4, D, an example of socializing to improve your English. For instance means for example. D. Number 5, A, the high cost of English study methods. And number 6, tennis. Of course, they mentioned tennis club in the reading. 1 point each, 6 points total. Again, the test was out of 42, and most of you did quite well. If you feel your score was a little low and you don't know why, you can ask me in an email. And even if your score is a bit low, don't give up, don't be discouraged. In my classes, I consider attitude and effort very important. Don't, get the work done, do your best. Be on time. These things all count very much, right? As I told you at the beginning, even if your score is low, if I know you've worked hard, come to all the classes, done all the work, tried your best, if I know those things, I will make sure that you pass the class. I only fail students that don't do the work and don't show up for class, right? So keep working hard, keep giving your best effort in our class. Let's look at the work from last week. Page 120, Beck Iship, 2 weeks ago, last class. Dictionary skills. We're in chapter 9, Alfred Nobel, a man of peace. Okay, number 1, Alfred Nobel invented dynamite at a perfect moment in time. Perfect here, the best possible moment in time. Number 1, and this is an adjective. Perfect moment, adjective noun. Many countries were beginning to build railroads and tunnels and needed a safe, powerful explosive to construct railroad tracks through mountains. B3, he invented dynamite at the best possible moment in time. Number 2, disturb. The newspaper article that described Alfred Nobel as the dynamite king disturbed him. It disturbed him, it upset him, it worried him. Really, it upset him. Okay, B is number 1, it upset him. A is number 2, it's a verb, of course. The bad news disturbed him. This news disturbed him. This news upset him. A, number 2, verb. B, number 1. 3, award. In his will, Alfred Nobel instructed people to use all of his money for an annual award. An award. An annual award. Annual means every year. This is a noun. For A, the answer is just simply noun. There's one noun, a prize, an award, a prize. B, number 2. Alfred Nobel instructed people to use all of his money for an annual prize. Annual award, noun, annual prize. A, noun. B, number 2. Number 4, in his will, Alfred Nobel instructed people to use all of his money for an annual award to honor, verb, to plus verb. So number A is verb number 1, to praise, give recognition to leaders of science, literature, and world peace. Give recognition to means to show that they're good. People see that. People understand that they're the best. When somebody gets a Nobel Prize, he or she is recognized, seen as the best in the world. So the prize gives recognition to people. A, number 1, verb. B, number 2, give recognition to. Next page, 122. D, word forms. Part 1. In English, some verbs become nouns by adding the suffix ion or ation. For example, suggest, verb, suggestion, noun. Be careful of spelling changes. Combine, combination, slight change in spelling. Complete each sentence with the correct form of the words on the left. Write all the verbs in the simple past tense. Simple past must be or wrong. Positive or negative, singular or plural. Number 1. The teacher instructed, ed, the students to write their compositions in pen, to skip a line, and to put their names on their papers. Notice papers, compositions, same. Papers, composition. Composition is something you write, you compose, you create. Like somebody who writes music is a composer, creator of music. Okay, there are 3 instructions. The students followed her instructions carefully. Instructed, instructions. Be careful. It must be exactly right or it's wrong. Number 2, Thomas Edison, an American, invented, ed, more than 1,000 useful items. His inventions, s. Many, many, more than 1,000 inventions. Invented, inventions. Number 3, the company finished the construction of the new office building. The company didn't construct the building of steel. They built it with bricks and wood instead. Instead means opposite or change. Not bricks and steel. Did not construct. Didn't construct. Number 4, when the general gave a speech to his soldiers, he inspired them to action. Inspired, gave them energy to do well. As a result of the general's inspiration. Inspired, ed, inspiration, singular. Number 5, when Jenny graduated from high school, she didn't continue her education immediately, not right away. No, didn't continue. She went to college several years later, not immediately, didn't continue immediately. The continuation, noun, waited until she saved enough money. Didn't continue, continuation. Part 2, in English, there are several ways that verbs change to nouns. Some verbs become nouns by adding the suffix ment. For example, improve, improvement. Okay, all the verbs simple past tense, positive or negative, and the nouns singular or plural. Number 1. Carol and Simon announced their engagement yesterday. Announced. They planned to get married. Engagement means exactly plan to get married. When you're engaged, you have a plan to get married. Their happy announcement surprised their friends. Announced, announcement. Number 2, Lloyd, it's pronounced Lloyd. Lloyd went to a baseball game yesterday, but the game didn't excite him at all. At all goes with negative, not at all. I did not like that food at all. Didn't excite him at all. I think there is a lot of excitement in a baseball game. Don't say excitements. No, not plural. A lot of excitements. No, a lot of excitement in a baseball game. Didn't excite him at all. A lot of excitement. Number 3, the magician was very talented and he amazed the children with his wonderful tricks. He smiled at their look of amazement. Amazed, amazement. Number 4, the government made a few, plural, statements with an S. A few statements. He stated that he planned to run for re-election. Statements, stated. Number 5, the board of directors discussed the formal, the official discussed the formal establishment of a law school. However, they didn't establish the law school until this year. However, changed, negative. Establishment, didn't establish. Part E, page 124, vocabulary in context. Number 1, field, the field of medicine. Number 2, however, he doesn't have enough money. Number 3, fortune, it is worth a fortune. Number 4, amaze, magicians amaze people with their tricks. Number 5, I made a mistake. Number 6, never disturb Susan when she's studying. Disturb, never bother her, interrupt her. Number 7, all the same, we decided to go to the movies, even though we were cold and tired. And number 8, honor, a special honor, special prize, award for her volunteer work. F was not homework. F is homework this week. Think about it. Okay, this week's written homework that you will send in your email to me is F on page 125. Number 1 and number 3, not number 2. Number 1, Alfred Nobel invented dynamite to help people build railroads, tunnels, buildings, and dams, but the reporter in the story called him a salesman to death. Why? 2 reasons why. 2 reasons why the reporter was negative. Number 3, Nobel established the Nobel Prize so that people would remember him as a man of peace. Can you think of, again, 2 more reasons why he wanted to give prizes to people who were leaders in their fields? Number 1, 2 reasons. Number 3, 2 reasons. Don't do number 2. Write them down. Send me your answer in an email by Thursday morning, 9 a.m. G, another look, choosing Nobel Prize winners. Okay, let's do this now. I want you to read the story on page 126, 127, and I want you to answer questions 1, 2, and 3. No, not 4. Don't do number 4. Read the story at question 1, 2, and 3. Go ahead. All right, Alfred Nobel gave more than $9 million of his fortune, his wealth, to establish annual Nobel Prizes. According to Nobel's instructions, the money is given to people who help humankind in some outstanding way in 5 fields: physics, chemistry, physiology or medicine, literature, and peace. In addition to the cash prize, each Nobel Prize winner receives a gold medal, like the picture on page 113, the gold medal. Help humankind, help all people. Humankind, all people. Do you know the Hongik logo? Have you looked at the Hongik logo recently? It has Latin on it. It says pro hominum beneficio. This means for the good of people or to help all people. Okay, Hongik's logo says basically help humankind. Pro hominum beneficio. The Nobel Foundation is the legal owner of the prize funds, but it does not award the prizes. The foundation follows a list of Alfred Nobel's rules. One of the rules states that not all the prizes must be given out each year. In fact, no Nobel Prizes were given for the years 1940 to 1942. None, 0. Different groups give out each award. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences makes the Physics and Chemistry Awards. The Karolinska Institute of Stockholm, Sweden awards the Physiology or Medicine Prize. The Nobel Prize for Literature is awarded by the Swedish Academy. The Norwegian Parliament chooses a committee of 5 people to award the Nobel Peace Prize. In 1969, a 6th prize was established in economics. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences makes this award too. Norwegian Parliament, the Parliament is the government body, like Congress, very similar. In Korea, you have a Congress. There's a building in Yeouido. That's the Korean government body, the Korean Congress. And another word that's similar is parliament. So you can think of it as kind of the same thing. The Norwegian Parliament government group body, the elected parliament, elected officials. Norwegian means Norway, from Norway, like Korea, Korean. Norway, Norwegian, like this. Each of these institutions must receive the names of candidates before February 1st of each year. A jury, a panel, a group of 12 people decides on a final candidate by majority vote. If there is no majority vote for any one candidate, the prize is not offered that year. The jury reviews the candidates and asks them many questions, including the following. Did you make the outstanding contribution in the previous year? The contribution is what you did, what you gave, your work, your research, your work, your discovery, your effort. Was your contribution, was your work, the result of many years of research? Did you work with 1, 2, or 3 scientists or more as a team? If you work as a team, you share the prize. Did your discovery depend on the work of another candidate? Again, the prize may be divided. If your work was great, but only possible because of another person's work, then you share the Nobel Prize. The first Nobel Prizes were awarded on December 10th, 1901. Remember, not 1901, 1901. The 5th anniversary of Alfred Nobel's death. The amount of each prize was more than $40,000 at the time. Today, each prize is worth more than $1 million. Wow, I wish I could win a Nobel Prize. Number 1, false. No, they don't give it out every year. If there's no majority vote, no prize. Number 2, why do you think no prizes were given out in those years? World War II. Those were the years when World War II was happening. No Nobel Prizes during those years of World War II. And number 3, what happens if the jury of 12 people cannot agree on one candidate? No award is given. They don't agree, there's no award. Maybe next year instead. Any questions? Send me an email. Good work, everyone. Let's continue. Grammar. Okay, this you can do now. Grammar, close quiz. You can use the verbs more than once, and you have to change the verbs to simple past tense. Okay, simple past tense. Sometimes more than one answer is possible, and you can use the verbs more than one time when you do this exercise. So go ahead, complete exercise I, page 128, 129, and then come back and I'll review it with you. After Nobel read the newspaper story, read R-E-A-D, he was very upset, or he became very upset. Number 2, was or became. About the image the world had of him, H-A-D, had, past tense. He thought about his problems, thought about his problem for years. Then in 1895, an adventurer named Salomon August Andrée made plans to reach the North Pole. Number 5, made. People all over the world were excited about Andrée's journey. Were excited or became excited. Nobel thought about Andrée's plan too. Nobel thought about, Nobel read about, Nobel knew about. Thought about, read about, knew about. All of them are okay. And had, number 8, had an inspiration. He finally knew, number 9, knew what to do, and he made his last will and testament. Number 10, made, or he wrote. Make your will, write your will. He made his will, he wrote his will. Alfred Nobel died on December 10th, 1896. He was unmarried. Number 11, was. People all over the world were amazed when they read in the newspapers. Number 12, were or became amazed. Yeah, became. I like were better, but you could say became. When they read about his plan, however, after his death, the Nobel Prize became the greatest honor a person could achieve. Number 14 should be became. That's all for chapter 9. Good job. Chapter 10, page 130, cultural difference being on time. On time means not late. Punctual, 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 not late, on time. Uh-oh, look at the student walking into class late. Wow, okay. Read the story. Read the story on page 131, 132, and answer part A, 133, 134. Try to finish everything in 10 to 12 minutes. Again, read the story, page 131, 132. Answer part A, number 1 through number 11, page 133, 134. Try to finish in 12 minutes, then stop, come back, and I'll go over it with you. Go ahead. In the United States, it is important to be on time or punctual for an appointment, a class, a meeting, etc. ETC, again, we studied this, etc., and so on. However, this may not be true in all countries. An American professor discovered this difference while teaching a class in a Brazilian university. The 2-hour class was scheduled to begin at 10 a.m. and end at 12 p.m., noon. On the first day, when the professor arrived on time, no one was in the classroom, no students. Many students came after 10 a.m., several arrived after 10:30 a.m. 2 students came after 11 a.m. Although all the students greeted the professor as they arrived, few apologized for their lateness. Few means almost none, almost nobody apologized. Were these students being rude, impolite, bad manners? He decided to study the students' behavior. The professor talked to American and Brazilian students and asked about lateness in both an informal and formal situation, lunch with a friend, and in a university class, respectively. Same order. Informal, formal, 1, 2. Lunch with a friend, university class, 1, 2. 1 equals 1. Informal, lunch with a friend. 2 equals 2. Formal, university class. He gave them an example and asked them how they would react. If they had a lunch appointment with a friend, the average American student defined lateness as 19 minutes after the agreed time, appointment time. On the other hand, opposite, the average Brazilian student felt the friend was late after 33 minutes, almost double. In an American university, students are expected to arrive at the appointed hour. In contrast, in Brazil, neither the teacher nor the students always arrive at the appointed hour. Classes not only begin at the scheduled time in the US, but they also end at the scheduled time. Notice the synonym. At the appointed hour means exactly at the scheduled time. Appointed, appointment, schedule, hour, time. Appointed hour, scheduled time. In the Brazilian class, only a few students left the class at noon. Many remained past 12:30 p.m. to discuss the class and ask more questions. While arriving late may not be very important in Brazil, neither is staying late. They come late, they stay late. Interesting. The explanation for these differences is complicated. People from Brazilian and North American cultures have different feelings about lateness. In Brazil, the students believe that a person who usually arrives late is probably more successful than a person who is always on time. In fact, Brazilians expect a person with status or prestige, high status, high regard, like a prestigious university, a prestigious company. While in the US, lateness is usually considered to be disrespectful and unacceptable. Consequently, if a Brazilian is late for an appointment with a North American, the American may misunderstand the reason for the lateness and become angry. As a result of his study, the professor learned that the Brazilian students were not being disrespectful to him. Instead, they were simply behaving in the appropriate way, proper way, appropriate, P-R-O-P, appropriate, proper, the right way, correct way, good way. Eventually, the professor was able to adapt his own behavior so that he could feel comfortable in the new culture. Very interesting. Number one, the main idea, C, the importance of being on time is different in different cultures. Number two, B, he wanted to understand. Why are they coming late? Are they rude? Are they being disrespectful? Bad manners? Why? He wanted to understand. Number three, punctual means on time. And how do you know? Well, on time, comma, or punctual, comma. X, comma, or Y, X equals Y. Remember, okay? A journal or diary, diary or journal, diary equals journal. Punctual, on time, punctual, X equals Y. Number four, the students, few students. Number five, as means when. As they arrived, when they arrived. Number 5A, two. 5B, rude behavior, impolite. Number one, bad manners, impolite behavior, rude behavior. One. Number six, what is an example of an informal situation? Having lunch with a friend. Formal situation, university class. How do you know? The word respectively. Answer for C, because of the word respectively. And what does this word mean? Number D, 6D, what does this word mean? This word is respectively. Okay, the answer for C is respectively. The answer for D, this word means in the same order too. Okay, formal, informal, formal. 1, 2, lunch with a friend, university class. 1, 2. Same order. 1, 2, 1, 2. In the same order, respectively. Number 7, on the other hand, shows a contrast. Right hand, left hand. On the other hand, opposite, contrast. Number 8, neither the teacher nor the students always arrive at the appointed hour. Therefore, neither A nor B, both A and B, no. Neither the teacher nor the students, both the teacher and the students, not, or no. A, no one. Number 9, not only but also is and, also, okay, and. Not only X, but also Y, X and Y, A, number 9A. Number 10, in line 26, what does in fact indicate? Emphasis. Emphasis on the previous idea. In fact, they expect a person. It's interesting information, right? Remember, in fact is followed by something very unusual, very interesting. In fact, she reads 100 books a year. In fact, Japanese live longer than anyone. Not just information, but very interesting. Special, unique information. And number 11, instead shows an opposite. Opposite. Okay? They were not being disrespectful, bad. Instead, appropriate, good. Okay? Disrespectful, bad, appropriate, good. Opposite. Instead here shows an opposite, C. Okay. Let's move on. B and C. Well, first of all, B. Okay, let's just do B. I want you to fill in this chart with the information from the story. You can look back at the story, okay, about the American professor in Brazil and fill in the chart on page 135. Then stop. Okay, go ahead. Fill in the chart on page 135. Okay, professor arrived on time and the students arrived late but did not apologize. What happened next? The professor decided to study the students' behavior. This is a flow chart. This is telling us the main points of the story. Professor on time, students late. Next, professor decided to study their behavior. Then the professor gave students an example of an informal situation, lunch with a friend, and a formal situation, university class. Informal, lunch with a friend. Formal, university class. American and Brazilian students define lateness. Look at the lines there. Informal situation and formal situation. Informal situation, left side, lunch with a friend. Americans, 19 minutes. Brazilians, 33 minutes. Formal situation, right side, Americans start and finish class on time. Brazilians, class can be up, you can come to class up to 1 hour after the scheduled time. Informal, 19 minutes, 33 minutes. Formal, start and finish on time, up to 1 hour after the scheduled time. Conclusions. In the US, being late is considered disrespectful, unacceptable. Okay, being late is disrespectful and unacceptable. In Brazil, people expect someone with status to be late. High status, high prestige, high level of respect, important person. We expect you to be late. In the US, you cannot be late. High status, low status. Being late is rude. Bad manners, unacceptable. Very different concept of time. Result, the professor learned that the students were not being disrespectful to him and adapted his behavior. The result is 2 points. 1, students not being rude, okay, not being disrespectful, and professor changed, adapted his behavior. He's in Brazil, he changed to be like Brazilians. Now what you have here on page 135 is a flow chart with all of the key points. These are the main points of the story in order. If you read page 135 now with your answers, you should know what the story is about. You know the main points of the story. So you take those main points and you answer part C, page 136, number 1 through number 7, and then stop. Summary on page 137, you don't have to do, no. Only page 136 for C. Okay, again, look at the answers for B. The answers for C are almost the same. Okay, take 5 minutes, fill in the blanks, then come back. Number 1, what did the professor decide to study? The student's behavior. Remember, first on the flow chart, the professor decided to study the student's behavior. His experiment, number 2, asked their opinion of lateness in a formal and informal situation. Ask their opinion of lateness in a formal and informal situation. Number 3, did American students and Brazilian students have the same ideas about lateness in class? No, they did not. Do classes always begin and end at the appointed hour in both cultures? No. U.S. class begins and ends on time, according to the schedule. In Brazil, it's more flexible, up to 1 hour late, starting up to 1 hour late, finishing. In the U.S., very strict, in Brazil, very flexible. Number 4, what were the American students and the Brazilian students' ideas about being late for an informal situation, a lunch appointment? US, 19 minutes is late. Brazil, 33 minutes is late. Number 5, in general, what did the Brazilian students think about people who were late? It's a sign of status and prestige, high status, very prestigious person. Oh, he's late. He must be very important. Like a professor. Number 6, in general, what did the American students think about people who were late? Negative, not positive like the Brazilians, not high status, just very rude, very disrespectful, very bad manners, not good. Number 7, the result of the professor's study. Well, the conclusions are students were not being disrespectful, students were not being rude, not showing bad manners, but they were acting appropriately, so the professor adapted. Students not being rude, students acting appropriately, professor adapting his behavior, professor changing. So the point here is, when you read, look for the key points. Okay, as we're reading, we need to be thinking main point, main point, main point. You can't memorize every word of the story, but you can memorize the key points in the story. Exercise B, page 135, those are the main points. If you read them, you understand the story. And if you read them, you can answer the story questions. Exercise C on page 136. All right, good work today. Lots of work this week. Homework. D, page 138. E, page 139 and 140, grammar. F, vocabulary, page 141. And I, fill in the blanks, close quiz, page 143 and 144. Very big one. Wow, long one. Fill them all in. So we have D, E, F, and I. That's the homework for this week. And of course, page 125, F. Think about it. That's your written homework. F number 1, F number 3. 2 reasons for each. Finish all your homework. Finish all the videos. This video and, of course, the listening video. Send me the written homework. Tell me you finished everything. And make sure you email me by Thursday morning. That's all for this week, everyone. Make sure to tune in for the Listening Lab lecture. Get your work done. Ask questions if you have them. And have a wonderful week. I look forward to hearing from you by email this week. Bye-bye, everyone.